course, like we called it, they're all going to jump on this, right? All the Irish politicians are going to jump on this. Sorry about that. But so you know who this is? This is the guy who he doesn't know if his child is a boy or a girl. Huh? Yeah, he's in such a position. Such land of confusion. Because that's the way they want it. They want the children confused and fucked up in the head. Well, makes it easier for them to abuse them. Well, anyway, here's Mr. Murphy.
I mean, I think it was really scandalous that Conor McGregor was set up to represent the Irish people on St. Patrick's Day in the White House. He's a man with abhorrent views on a whole range of issues, and is also being found by a civil jury to have raped Nikita Hand in a most horrific way. And I want to pay tribute to Nikita for really speaking out about that. So I think it's abhorrent. It's abhorrent by the Trump administration to have promoted Conor McGregor in this way. I do think that the so-called quiet diplomacy of...
You see what's happening here? You see what's happening here? It's exactly like I told you. And it's like Paul has also been telling people in me chat. It's like they purposely put him there because, you know, they knew with something so significant as rape, they knew that if people can't support him, you can't possibly just let's just say McGregor never went to the White House, right? Let's just say McGregor never went to the White House, right? Before that, where he got up and said that about the towns being overrun, do you think he had much support? Just as an individual, ask yourself this. Do you think before McGregor went and gave that speech in the White House, do you think he had a good support? Now, one American guy on Twitter made the point of that after McGregor got up and talked that it was slightly dangerous, and people were like, what are you talking about? He's telling the truth. And he's like, no. He says most Americans, and this was the point, this is what he said like 3 or 4 times in his comment. He said, most Americans aren't aware of the latest rape court case that he was up on. So he's going to get a lot of support from, things like this. So literally the only thing that in that man's mind that would have stopped people listening to McGregor up there talking was the court case against him recently. You see? So the powers that be knew all of this. Of course they did. It was everywhere. It was all across the world. Remember? McGregor, the rapist and all this sort of stuff. And him paying the money didn't look good. If I'm perfectly honest with you, it didn't look good when you paid money. You should have held out or fought or something if he was innocent. Don't pay money. It's just like all these celebs. It's like they pay off the money. Sure, hell, even Trump has paid off someone, hasn't he? Do isn't that like admitting some form of guilt? But you see, this also plays into the cognitive warfare that I've been talking about recently, in the sense of they know that people are going to have conflicting beliefs about Conor McGregor. They know that. So purposely putting him up there in the White House and saying something that is true, you have to say, we all have to admit what he said was true, because it was. But they're just using it again. And here's all the Irish politicians, throwing their 5 cents in. Let's get it. Let's ultimately get people focused on the rape side of things, while ignoring that little 30-second clip where he talks about towns in Ireland being overrun. That's just getting lost. People aren't even thinking of that, We'll continue here.
Micheál Martin, whatever day it was last week, Thursday or Friday, which was lauded by many commentators as being very smart, no longer looks very smart. Because the truth is that while Trump
Now, now, listen to what he says here. This, I called this. I said that some people are going to say this about it, but I was thinking it was going to be the NPCs here in Ireland and the NGOs that would have made a point of saying when Trump said that his favourite Irish person was Conor McGregor, that Micheál Martin should have said something, but he didn't. He just sat back in the chair and stayed quiet. He didn't say anything, and I was like, ah! I said, Jesus, why isn't Martin actually interrupting Trump there and saying, "No, do you know what? Actually, Mr. Trump, he's a convicted rapist, or is he convicted rapist? I don't know, but he paid the money in anyway. Do you know what I mean?" And I said, "Watch." I said, "NPCs and the NGOs are going to dive on that." And sure enough, the first person to say it is Mr. Murphy, huh?
Was praising Conor McGregor. Neil Martin, while sitting in a room with him, didn't say a single word to contradict him.
Paul would have wanted him to jump up and punch him for saying that McGregor was a good fella. You know, you see what I mean? It's that mentality. It's this mentality of these people. I called that. I called that in one of my videos. I don't know, 4 or 5 videos ago. I said that, or a post or something that I did. That's going to drive the NPCs mad. That Martin didn't interrupt Trump when Trump said McGregor was his favourite Irish person.
Neil Martin praised Trump's unrelenting focus on peace. We know that overnight, about 350 Palestinians in Gaza have been killed in assaults, a new wave of air attacks.
I don't know if he's telling the truth there. I haven't heard anything about that, but it's quite easy for them to just throw these little statistics out. And don't get me wrong, could be true, but most of the time they're lying. They're like those people who say to you, now when you talk to people about, say, the New World Order or the Illuminati or something like this, and they just say, oh, that's all in your head, you know. The reason they say that is because they don't want to have to do any research or anything. They're quite content with what their TV tells them. You know, they're quite content with what's being fed to them, so they don't feel like they have to go and plus they're being constantly told that the New World Order and the Illuminati is just a conspiracy theory. They've constantly, and that's been reaffirmed over and over and over again. You know, just this horrible cycle. A bit like the way that I talk about how corruption unchecked just gets worse and worse. Well, their lack of knowledge and not wanting to learn more is also like a cancer because it's keeping people dumb as fuck. And when something happens in the world and they can't understand why it's happening, there's often a quite simple answer that it's usually one of these groups that is up to something. You know, it's often as simple as that. For sure, hey.
That have been authorised and agreed by the administration. So I think, clearly the very cowardly, bootlicking approach of Martin now is exposed for just that. In terms of Conor McGregor's presidential ambitions, I think they will go very, very far in the social media site owned by Elon Musk.
Interesting, isn't it? So he's kind of revealing a bit of the plan here to us, or to us, should I say. Unwittingly, who knows? Just so assured of themselves that they know that this is what's going to happen. That on Elon, the bad guy, on his Twitter, Connor might get a massive following for president. But I'm telling you now, and I've told you this before, there's not a hope in hell that it ever gets to a stage. There might be a few mentions of him running for president. There's not a chance in hell they're going to let that man come president. You know, they might. I think I read in our initial. I'd have to go through it again because I'm rusty as fuck. But our original constitution states that anyone over, was it 30 or 35 could be president. So, the age is appropriate and stuff like that. But the NGOs and all the other ones, They have what they need on him. They know that he was charged and that he paid money to get a rape case thrown out of court or done away with, or so they know they have that and they can use that because they can use that by saying, "Sure, what would I listen to him for? He's just a rapist, you know." So therefore, I don't have to take anything he says, which common sense, I probably would think the same. I probably would have thought the same. You know, the literally only thing that I'm trying to highlight with that McGregor thing is that 30-second clip where he talks about the towns being overrun. That's like I said to you, if the left and the NGOs and the NPCs and the government, if they can pick and choose what they want to use for their message, then we can pick and choose, right? We can pick and choose. Enough of this fucking. Let's not go down to their level. No, what's good enough for the goose is good enough for the gander. If they can use it, we can use it, right?
Where a lot of people will retweet him and boost him and so on. I really don't think they'll go very far in terms of actually winning public support of people in Ireland. I just don't. Conor McGregor is not a beloved figure in Ireland for.
That's probably the only thing that I would agree with Mr. Murphy on. So I never thought I'd actually agree with him on anything. You know, well, I agreed with him when water charges. I agreed with him on that. But sure, he's just turned out to be like the rest of them. He's one of these actors on the grand stage, you know. And this guy is purposely driving the Rainbow Squad stuff. He's very much into all that, you know. He's very much into getting puberty blockers into under 16s without parental consent. That's one of these guys. He's even using his own child as part of this experiment, where he's not. My child is gender neutral. All this crap, you know. What did they call it? Juniper, or something like that. Yeah, he plays well into all the homo globalist side of things. This chap.